Hey guys, what's going on? Absolute Beast here, bringing you a race today. This is using the Motul Autech GTR, the one that we got to drive in the demo. You'll see what it should look like to my left, right there. But I bought it and put a white paint job on it. I thought it looked really nice in white, because it's just real different than the standard GTR. It's got some wide body bits and some extra aero stuff, and it just looks so much more aggressive. So yeah, so this was my... what you'll notice right off the bat, I feel so much more at home in this car than in any of the previous cars I've driven. I mean, that's a bad cut right there, but I mean, I'm doing much, much better. Dipping and diving, I'm not hitting cars. I mean, I did tap that guy right there, but that was just a real tight corner. And, you know, same right there. But this is the first time I've driven this thing in this game, other than the demo, of course, but the demo was in the rain, and I didn't really race too much with it. And so, disclosure, this is not a full race. Was having some issues recording, which is really unfortunate because I actually recorded this whole race. Yeah. So I should get at least a good part in here, and then, I mean, I hope so. But yeah, so this thing is epic. I was so looking forward to driving this in the real game, just to be able to drive it on dry tracks and with different stuff. This is not one of my favorite circuits. This is Circuit of the Americas. Not my favorite circuit, but yeah, right as I bought this car, when I purchased this car, that actually brought me to tier level 5, which means I can now buy the Renault RS17. I just need to save up the credits to get it, which is $1.5 million. So immediately, I knew just from driving this was going to be the car that I felt the most at home with. I actually could have driven the Audi R8, the V10 one that I drove in a video briefly the other day, but I wanted to purchase a car because if I had purchased this car, it would take me right to that mark to unlock the RS17. So with the purchase of this car, I went and scrolled through a bunch of the cars and almost bought a McLaren. Almost bought two McLarens. I almost bought a 1988 Honda McLaren that's an F1 car, or I almost bought the McLaren M8B, which is one I drove in Forza 6. But ultimately I decided on this car, and so I bought it. And immediately what I did is I cranked the races up from standard race to long, because I knew that I'd love this thing, and I also threw on a couple of mods. So I'm basically turned up the drive-tar difficulty. I think I forgot on this one, but I put on a couple of mods, and I turned the race length up. So I'm basically getting 170% bonus from the mods, and I'm also turned the race on up. So I'm basically getting 100,000 per race. I was averaging 10 to 15,000 a race, and now I'm averaging about 100, 125 per race. Probably like 115,000 a race. So I'll finish up this series tomorrow, or I guess later tonight I'll finish the series up, and then start the next one, and I'll do this series and one more, and then I should be able to buy the Lotus. I almost call it Lotus. Be able to buy the Renault. So like I said, as you see there at the beginning, a much cleaner beginning of the race for me, and I'm already out in front. Yeah, the thing for me was like turning the drive-tar difficulty way down. And I just did the Formula E series. Which sucks, by the way, only because if the cars don't handle all that well, they don't go very fast, they top out about 140, but the main problem for me was that you can't hear when to shift. It's just too high-pitched and quiet, and you can't hear when to shift. So, but yeah, I mean, guys, as soon as I got in this car, as soon as I started driving it, I was like, oh yeah, this is where I was meant to be. And it's been a real, you know, if you watched my 2 recent videos, or even 3 recent videos, I was talking about how sick of the career I was already. I'm sick of driving the lower level cars. I don't mind it initially, but you know, when you have to drive these old like 60s muscle cars and stuff, or you know, 60s vintage cars, it's just not fun for me anyway. I mean, it's, you know, at a certain point right there I was trying to pay attention to something else, and I ended up going too wide. So in this race I end up running a lap that ranked me at number 9 in the Americas, which is the top page, and it ranked me 38 in the world. And you know, this was not hot lapping, although I would consider this semi-hot lapping because, I mean, I'm in first now, so I basically get all these laps to just go fully hard. And yeah, that wasn't the right phrasing, to go really hard. So yeah, I mean, I can't, because like I said, I was having some recording issues, so I don't know 100% if that lap will be in here. I think it is, because basically what happened is I've been racing the last couple days with full simulation on, full sim damage and fuel and tire wear and all that. You get extra credits, and it's just another layer you know, something that's more fun. And for me on this race, this was the first time this has happened, but my tires started to go, and I could tell by the time I started to get to lap like 4-ish, like 4 or 5, my tires started to get, you know, going, and I was going hard. I was being hyper aggressive here. I was flying through. I mean, as you can see, I'm already going pretty hard here, doing pretty well. But I was just pushing it harder and harder each lap, and I was just really locked in. You know, those of you that race, you get those times where I used to call it being in the zone, and you do it when you're hot lapping. What happens is you race, and you know, like a third of the way into it, you just get really like hyper aware, and you're really intently focusing. It's like white knuckling, you know, the controller, and you're really locked in, and that's totally what I was doing with this car. So immediately, I was like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be, and it totally changed the perspective. You know, it's been like one of those things where I've had a little bit of time. I haven't played. I mean, of the, you know, time that I have to play, I maybe take an hour or hour and a half off that I could be playing each day, but I decide not to because it's just really, you know, it's really grinding right now, and I do enjoy a grind, but you know, I'm not at this point. You know, like I'd rather be racing like this, and I didn't want to go out and buy one of these cars right off the bat because first of all, you can't. Second of all, I didn't know how far I'd be able to take it. So now that I've gotten to this point, I know that I can do this with this car, and then I can do it in another series in the next championship. And if I need to, I can go back and even re-race one of them and crank the difficulty way up. So I did crank the difficulty up on the race after this, but yeah, I mean, one of these, this next lap I think coming up was just, let's see what the split is here on this one. So this is a 219. That might have been the one right there. Either way, one of these laps was just blazing. I mean, you know, granted, Circuit of the Americas is not one of the more raced tracks. There were only, you know, a couple, like I think 1,500 entries on the Americas, and maybe only a few thousand in the world. Obviously, the game launched today, basically, so there's going to be a lot more coming soon. But to be, you know, ranked that highly just from my first time racing this track, and this was a track I didn't really race all that much on Forza 6, so it's not like I know it and have previous knowledge of it. It's just, you know, I mean, I'm semi-familiar with it, and yeah, I mean, you can see I'm just ripping through these turns. I'm just absolutely blowing through these corners, and this car just screams, man. You get in like second gear, and it bogs a little bit sometimes. So I'm going down to first on all these turns. Like you'll see me drop to first, like right here. But as soon as you get into boost, like the car kind of bogs a little bit. And as soon as you get to like, you know, 7 grand, it just like it just throws you back, and it's intense. And yeah, I mean, for sure, I was a little concerned about the tire wear thing. It started to be the front 2 tires, and it happened again in the next race when I went on Bathurst for the same length. But I can only imagine what it would have been like if I hadn't been using traction. I would have gone through the back tires much faster if I had traction control off. So I'm glad I left it on. But yeah, I mean, this was a great race. I mean, I was tired. I fell asleep at one of the finishing race screens for the Formula E series. I actually fell asleep. I don't know for how long, but long enough for my controller to turn off and my TV to dim. So it was some time, and then I ate something and got back on, and I was feeling it. I mean, I thought like I was going to bed, and then I got back on, and I was just feeling it with this car. It was just ripping, just absolutely doing it. So the game is extremely fun. This car in particular, and this type of car is right where I want to be. I don't want to be racing anything else other than this. So I'll probably just go through and finish up the career. But I'll only do as many races as I need to move on. Right now, I've been doing full completion, so I have the first 2 sections fully completed. Well, that's not true. I have one endurance race to do on Spa with the Corvette C7R, which would be pretty fun. I don't know. There's an achievement for doing it with the extra long race length on, but as I found out from looking here, the extra long race length gives you 10 times the laps that the regular race length does. So I'll have to check out the regular race length. I have a feeling if it's 100 miles of Spa, it's called the Spa 100. If it's 100 miles, probably going to be 25 laps, and I really don't want to do that many laps, like a couple hundred laps of Spa. I mean, I do, but I don't think I'm ready for that right now. So anyway, guys, thank you for checking this out. Make sure you check back again soon for another video. Higher quality content on the way. I do have a nice microphone coming in that I'll be able to make better stuff with. So I appreciate it, guys. Subscribe, and I'll catch you another time. Thanks.